The first book in our series about Islamic psychology book reviews that I'm going to bring on board to your attention and to your benefit as well, I think is the absolute classic, absolute must as well if you are passionate or you working with Muslims and you want to understand how to how to approach this work. It's a really meticulous work. I suggest Islamic Counselling. Islamic Counselling, an Introduction to Theory and Practice by Dr. Hussein Rassool. This book brings plenty on board, plenty food for thoughts, but also it's one of the best out there in the market. One of the best. It's classic. It's printed in 2016, and since then, over a decade now, almost over a decade now, it has been translated into many languages, and it doesn't lose on its popularity, obviously because it's Dr. Hussein Rassool. And what you will learn from this book in two sections is a bit of introduction, bit of a background to Islamic counseling, but also in the second section you will go through different modules and different issues from mental health perspective, which occur in the Muslim community, and you will learn how to approach that work. Now, what's really beautiful about this book is that it's safe. When we go to therapy as Muslims, we want to make sure that the work that's going to be done with us is halal. Yeah, so it's based on Quran, and it's based on Sunnah, and ideally on sound knowledge of Hadith and Quran. And this is what this book provides. The author, the only author, Dr. Hussein Rassool, he provides all of that for you, so you can sit down, feel safe, feel that sakina in yourself, within yourself. Everything is based on Ahl Sunnah Jama'ah approach. However, different approaches are also mentioned, including Sufis. So you have both academics and both eschatology in that book. It's really a gem because of those reasons. Now, from the beginning, in the beginning, you will learn a little bit about a background of Islamic counseling. How is it that it's based on faith? How is it that values, morals, cultures, religion, and spirituality, they are at the core of staying with the Muslim client? You will learn about the diversity of they, meaning as Muslims, psychological, but also spiritual background. You will also learn throughout the book, not only in the beginning of that book, but you also will learn throughout the book that really Islamic counseling has been there for centuries, and it was called Nasiha. And you will understand how is it that Dr. Rassool makes that statement, how you will understand his argument, which are, again, let me just emphasize that, going back to Quran and Sunnah and the practice of Sahabis. Now, you will also learn about the framework of Islamic counseling, meaning the proposed approach at that time to Islamic counseling, and you will learn that everything is God-centered. So we don't only learn about Muslim client, but also we learn about Tawheed, Quran, Hadith, fiqh, and the importance of family law in work with Muslim clients. You will also sit down and understand what Dr. Hussein Rassool approach is to spirituality, and how he bases his arguments in comparing different methodologies to Islamic approach. And it all comes down to human nature construct. And the human nature context, accordingly to the author, is going back to the fact that we are Khilafa on this earth, that we are here to represent God. And how is it that we come to those conclusions? How is it that we come to this awareness? Is through revival of our fitra. So fitra, you will read a lot about fitra in this book, and you will understand that it's the fitra really talks about integrity of our nature. And the fact that we all somehow remember that we come from God. We also, accordingly to Dr. Hussein Rassool, we have a potential for bad. So not only are we learning through this book about uncorrupted heart, but also we're learning about the traps of our nerves. And there is a chapter which explains the stations of the nerves, the background of a calm as well. So you have the basics there, but also you sort of leaving this lecture of this book thinking that so this is the reason why people always go back to God. Oh, so this is the reason why Islamic counseling is so popular and effective, because you understand the reasons based on Quran and Sunnah. And I'm not going to give them away to you. You have to go back to this book. We also learn in this book about personality, Islamic personality, and how it develops. And it goes back to Gharb, it goes back to nerves and those traditional teachings about tazkiyah, tasawwuf, and it goes back to morality and ethics. What's missing in that book is probably emphasis on how important tarbiyah is, because it's not mentioned per se. However, throughout the books, it is emphasized more than enough that Islamic morals and ethics, they are the cornerstone of Islamic therapy. We also learn to value. As a therapist, for me, I've learned to value the ethno-cultural differences, but also the background that we bring as a community. And you will learn how important it is to be educated in different Islams of different cultures as well. And then you will move on to compare different modalities in meaning psychoanalytic, humanistic, CBT, solution-focused, and then you will arrive at a summary of what is it that Islamic model brings to us and how is it that it's constructed. It's based on Sufism approach, family law approach, but also traditional teachings. And the practices of Rakis and Imam. Well, this is all accordingly to Dr. Rassool. And you will learn to appreciate other traditions and learn a little bit more about them as well, because they emphasize things like tafakkur, muhasaba, murakaba, nafsiyat, niya. And you will understand the points which Professor Rassool makes about compatibility of different modalities.